Welcome to lesson number 6. We're going to focus on another strategy of the evil trio, and our focus will be Revelation 17 verses 1 through to 6. We use the GPS method, the God positioning system. We first start with understanding, and then we go to the process of application, and thirdly, we focus on communication. So let's start with the process of understanding. We use the acronym of START. Situation, then we focus on the type of literature, and if we know what we have in front of us, then we analyze the passage according to the type of literature. And in the process of analysis, we get to the message as we understand it, or Welcome to lesson number 6 of the study on Revelation, and we're going to focus on Revelation 17, and there we will see another strategy of the evil trio. By now you realize that we use the GPS method, that is the God positioning system, just to overcome the differences of language, tradition, time, situation, and history. And in the process of understanding, we use the acronym of START. And the S is situation, so let us start with the situation of chapter 17. As we saw in the previous reading, the dragon could not prevent the birth and ministry of the child. So he then focuses his attack on the woman, the church. According to Revelation, the dragon uses his ground staff, the Antichrist, and the false prophet to execute this onslaught. In the previous lessons, we saw how the beast out of the sea, the Antichrist, and the beast out of the earth, the false prophet, are used against the church. In this lesson, we witness another strategy that evil has used so successfully. To this day, it is one of its most successful strategies. Now we're going to see what type of literature this is, and we know it's apocalyptic. It's a kind of writing that is highly symbolic. And we know that the Revelation is divided in 7 major blocks. Number D is the main block. The church is victorious because of Christ's victory. And Revelation 17 is actually in the second last block. Those who persecuted the church are judged. Now we analyze the passage. This is where we spend most of our time. We look at for symbolism and contrast. We mark the main themes, and then we conclude and summarize the message to the original receiver. Now we have a little bit of a background of the situation. That's the S of START. We know the type of literature. It is apocalyptic. And now the A is of START is analyze the passage. There is a picture of the woman on this monstrous animal. Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute, who sits by many waters. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names, and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things, and the filth of her adulteries. The name written on her forehead was a mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes, and of the abominations of the earth. I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of God's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. So let's start with verse 1. Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute. Now the great prostitute here is Rome, and it's actually the immoral and materialistic lifestyle of Roman culture. Who sits by many waters. It refers to the Euphrates river that flowed past Babylon. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. It is the immoral and materialistic culture of Rome exerted an influence on the rich as well as on the poor, the kings and the inhabitants of the earth. Let's continue. So we see then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. This is actually the same spot where the church was in Revelation 12 verse 6, which shows that the church was not immune to the influence of this infamous woman. And then there I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast. Now this woman is the great prostitute. This is the immoral and materialistic lifestyle of Roman culture. Scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. Well, we see this scarlet beast is actually the Antichrist as described in Revelation 13. It shows that materialism and immorality are part of Satan's strategy to seduce Christians. The woman was dressed in purple, scarlet, and was glittering with gold, precious stone, and pearls. Well, one sees here that she dresses impressively. It's a testimony of her great wealth. She held a golden cup in her hand filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. It shows her ability to deceive nations. And then we see she had a name on her forehead, Babylon the Great. This is symbolic of the name of Rome, because Rome, like Babylon of old, threatened the existence of God's new people, the Christians. Rome is also called Babylon because, like that nation, Rome destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. And then in verse 6, I saw the woman was drunk with the blood of God's holy people. It just shows the bloodthirsty persecution of Christians intoxicated her. The Roman culture at the time of the early church was characterized by materialism and an immoral lifestyle. The Romans were renowned for their drink parties and orgies. This lifestyle was present with all spheres of society, including that of the government. This shows the close relationship between the anti-Christian governments, the beast out of the sea, and immoral lifestyle, the woman on the beast. This has been true throughout history. The Roman religions of that time also encouraged an immoral lifestyle. For example, the temples had prostitutes for worshippers to visit. False religions are frequently accompanied by an immoral lifestyle. And now we come to step number 3.3. We've marked the main themes. We see this is actually this woman on this beast. So it's like the immorality. The prostitute is sitting on this Antichrist. Now we conclude and summarize the message to the original receiver. We realize that materialism and immorality are another way of Satan to cause our downfall. Christians have always been tempted to give in to the temptations of materialism and immorality. Now the R of start is we relate the message to the broader biblical and theological framework. In 1 Timothy 6 verse 9 we read, "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." So we can see the message of Revelation 17 relates to the rest of the Bible. Let's go to another passage, Colossians 2 verse 23. Of course, such rules appear to be based on wisdom in their forced worship of angels and false humility and severe treatment of the body, but they have no real value in controlling physical passions. We see here the immorality. So this passage relates to the rest of the Bible. Now we can test our findings. That's the T of start, the last T. Test your findings. And we realize when you read Bible commentaries or study Bibles that it is indeed true that materialism and immorality are another way of Satan to cause our downfall. And now the next big step is application. We ask ourselves, is this message applicable or not? How do we know whether it's applicable or not? We determine the difference between an incidental and an essential. We see in this message there's nothing cultural, there's nothing ceremonial, there's nothing civil. So it's not an incidental, it is indeed an essential. It's a moral, because it has to do with healthy relationships. Therefore, we are able to communicate this message in the 21st century. You can turn to your small group and you can discuss the following 5 questions.